Microphone check, microphone check. What's happening, family? How y'all doing? Welcome to Monday Quality Talks, MQT 11. That's right, today, Monday, the 11th of January, 2021. Thank you for tuning in. Wow. The instrumental for today. Defeat. Boddhi Satva. Stacey Iman Charles. Oof. Vibes. Yeah, by the way, if you want to stream the song, it's available on all your favorite streaming platforms. All right, family. All right. Let me lower the volume a little bit as we get started with this conversation tonight, or wherever you are located in the world, and no matter the time. I hope that you guys can hear me well. I believe so. And yeah, I just want to, first of all, greet you and wish you a very, very, very blessed start of the week. Yes. May it be a prosperous start, and even if you didn't start on the best of tonality, where you got the rest of the week to make it happen. It happens that sometimes you have these little bumps in the road, right? It's just what it is. And talking about bumps in the road, wow, today we're going to be talking about resilience during a pandemic. And I believe that, well, it is rather the topic at this point, because a year in, and you realize it takes a lot for somebody to just be able to still be functioning, and be able to just maintain a mental health that allows all of us to stay afloat, even though in some parts of the world, the way certain countries deal with the pandemic is different, because the pandemic hits differently, I guess. People have different ways of dealing with this whole thing, but nonetheless, it's serious. So let me welcome the MQT family. Thank you for joining in. Feel free to jump in the chat. Welcome Solomon. Appreciate your presence. Feel free to drop in comments if you have any insights given the conversation, or just some of your personal experiences of how this whole global pandemic challenged you and forced you to tap into your deepest resources to maintain a healthy mind, and also how at times it may have made you feel like you was gonna lose your mind. I think it's very important to acknowledge the fact that even the toughest of some of us, have been hit by this whole thing in such a dramatic way. And at the same time, you'll hear people, share experiences that confuses you. For example, people who are in in a financial conference. Hey, Crystal, welcome, 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 welcome. Thank you very much, sister, for tuning in. Yeah, man. And so, you'll see people traveling to Dubai, and you see all these crazy videos and photos of everybody posing and flashing their most beautiful traits and whip and all that, and you're looking at your life, and you're feeling miserable. You're feeling like nothing is happening for you, this and that and the other, and it's like you're frustrated, and then you have your own stuff that you're dealing with, and you're not making money, or doing this. There's a lot of there's a majority of people who are not necessarily living that life, and it requires for you to tap into some deep sense of resilience to be able to maintain some sort of like healthy interactions with others, right? And in these times, really, I've said it before, and I repeat it now, and I think because today's topic is really about the pandemic and how we're dealing with it, at least, and I'm going to be talking about mostly how I'm dealing with it, because I can't really speak on behalf of other people's experience, because that's not my place, and that's why there's a space for that, for you guys to jump into the chat and share share whatever you want to share. But it's like so for me, I've never really been too phased by the Dubai stuff, because that's great, and I think it's important for people to be able to also express themselves, because eventually if you're capable and you're able to make the trip and take your your family with you, or just go alone and have a good time, by all means you should, and nobody can throw stones at you for doing that, because we're all dealing with this thing one way or the other, right? No matter how rich or how poor you might be. And of course, that experience of the whole pandemic will definitely differ, given your financial capabilities. And so I want to look at this conversation more from people who don't necessarily have the financial capabilities, for people who are really struggling, people who are not making the money, people who are just going through some really, really tough times, and how amazing they are when it comes to finding ways, tactics, and models of how they want to operate their life, or how they operate their lives, where it allows them to still function, even though pretty much everything is in limbo around them. From an independent, entrepreneurial, and artistic point of view, it is absolutely needless to say that what we are going through as artists, as creatives in general, as entrepreneurs, independent workers, whatever you want to call yourself, it's unprecedented. It forces you to tap into your skills, to tap into skills you didn't even know existed before we got hit by this whole thing. And in the process of shifting things, shifting operations, shifting your vision, shifting your perception, you can lose yourself. You can have a feeling of not being worthy enough, of not being capable enough. And I think that this is really something that causes one to be exposed to various levels of stress and depression and despair, and even pushing people to the extreme of ending their lives. And that's where it's really, really, really sad, because there is ways, there are ways to solution this whole thing, and it is sad that one feels so overwhelmed that they don't feel like life is worth it anymore. And but I understand it. I don't co-sign it, but I do understand why people might feel like it's overwhelming, and might feel like it's just too much for one person to take, because it is indeed too much for one person to take. That's why we need community. We need to be together as much as possible. We need to check on one another, and it is clear to me it is rather clear to me that a year in, we're not seeing too much difference in the ways people behave and people act towards one another. If anything, there is a sense of indifference in like yeah, yeah. There's a sort of like indifference, as we say in French, which is like not caring, or only caring for those really close to you, but then anything outside of that, because it's already a lot to do with your own shit. you know you don't see the point of really, like, you might feel somewhere for someone else's situation, but you got your own shit to deal with, in other words. And I think that this is where the problem is. And when as a community we are not able to grasp the importance of really checking in on one another, and if it means just checking in on your closest people, then do that. And have them check on their closest people, etc., etc., etc. But there needs to be that chain of solidarity, with in interactions, in caring for one another, in wanting to see the best happen in one another's life, and I see too many people get discouraged over the occurrences of all these challenges, and I understand it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, look, I had to reshape completely the perspective of the business I'm in. Reshape my vision, reshape my approach, reshape my whole strategy. And I think that as much as it's stressful, and as much as it has been really demanding, I'm the type of guy, I don't mind putting in the work. I love what I do what I love, and I'll put the extra hours. It's not a problem. I sleep 5 to 6 hours a day, and that's my thing, and I'm cool like that. And when I need to sleep more, then I'll sleep more. But it's just my system is configured in that way, where I'm always, pushing. And by pushing, I mean I'm always working on new ways, solutions, ideas, concepts. Okay, what am I doing here? For example, this whole show, I design everything myself. I don't outsource, what I can do. The visuals that you see, all these things, even the introduction that you see for the show, I do everything myself. From launching my website, and it might not be necessarily looking as super tight as it could be if it was done by a super pro, but you got to look at cost, when you in these situations, and in general, but even more so when we're dealing with a situation where we are not working, because for those of you who may not know, maybe discovering the show, may not necessarily know who I am. I'm a music producer, I'm a DJ, label owner. I used to pay my bills and be able to live a okay life, traveling around the world and playing and producing music. Now it's not possible anymore. Clubs are closed, and the only ways now that we have are through this YouTube or other means of interactions, Twitch, etc., etc. So, and when you're clearly looking at the numbers, well, on a monthly basis, you don't make. I mean, it's ridiculous, but you can't be looking at short-term returns. That's where you really have to identify again what is your threshold of sustaining the level of pressure and the level of courage it requires to be able to have months where you just have enough to cover certain costs and not enough to cover others, and that's okay. You can't beat yourself up because you don't have enough. This is the thing. You're not the only one dealing with this shit. You won't be the last one dealing with it. And it's a global pandemic. I found it to be also absolutely abominable that honest people, hardworking people, creatives, entrepreneurs, etc., are going through really tough times, having to pay employees, etc., having to lay off people, and having to sort of like find new ways and means to survive and make ends meet, really. Being threatened, for example, by the landlords, or having to lose their home, and having to move to, tiny little places, because, they're not being given the support, right? They're not being given the opportunity to even, take the time that's going to be needed, but for them to be able to, in the end, recover. Because this is the thing, this is gonna end, and there's going to be new beginnings, and there's going to be new opportunities, and business is going to come back. So, and as a matter of fact, if you are creative enough, you will find ways and means to make things happen business-wise right now. It's easier said than done, I agree, but if you're not trying, you won't get it. As my good friend and brother from another, Nuno, who's also my agent, Nuno says, a no is always guaranteed. And even though I don't agree on that all the time, I know what it means, and I think it's true. If you start a conversation, or if you get into the mindset of understanding that, if you at least understand that, yeah, it's true, it's possible that I may get a no. It's possible that I may not get what I want initially, but it's also very possible that I may get it as well. So there comes your own perception and your own mental capacity, right, to look beyond the limitations that you create in your mind. You see, it all comes down to, working on your mental flexibility. Because resilience is a sense of flexibility. Resilience is flexibility. It's being able to go to a point where most would break, and still find it in you to hold yourself together, to keep yourself together at the highest level of pain and at the breaking point, really. But you don't break. That doesn't mean that you're not straining the muscle, or you're not hurting yourself bad, but you are at least displaying a level of courage to yourself that then comforts you in the idea that you can do this, you can overcome it. So what are some of the ways to overcome this thing? As I was giving you the example earlier, and diverged a little bit, but I'm coming back to that now. It's instead of outsourcing everything, and I'm pretty sure by now most of you may have figured out, but if you haven't, well, this is the way I've been doing it. And I started before COVID, of course, but even more so through this whole COVID situation, I was forced to, do as much as I could myself, because you know what? The stream of income that I was generating diminished gravely compared to what I would make when I was DJing and traveling around the world. Now, you have to, make sure that you strategize your every move, right? It's like anything in life. You're never going to be on top all the time. There's going to be moments, right? So this is one of those moments. And there's a financial crisis hitting us hard, coming. Don't even get it twisted. That's coming for sure. And it has already been manifested for us creatives. We've been dealing with it. Some of us have dealt with it 2 months into this whole confined global pandemic situation. So, it's real, even more for us as creatives and independents, etc. But so this is the thing. You got to break the I spoke about that last week. Break the paradigms you live in. Because if the way you function was based on, making money from shows, well, you can't make money from shows anymore. How am I going to make money if, for example, I'm talking as a DJ, right? Or as a music producer, or as a creative in general. No matter how you used to make money that required for you to be in a social environment, you can't have access to that anymore, or in a very limited way, right? So in that case, you have to tap into your skills, because you're not only limited to just being a DJ, or to just being a music producer, or to just being, you got so many different skills. If you have studied, for example, if you have anything that can allow you to actually move in in ways where you can discover different landscape of your capacities, you have to do it. And I'm pretty sure by now you've done it. But I do know some people that still to this day wonder what the hell they're going to do with their lives. And you wonder how the hell they managed to get through the whole 2020. Because they've been going through 2020 like, chicken without heads, like literally. And you're like, well, you managed to make it. You're still alive. And on top of that, you're skilled. Whether you see it or not, that's your choice. But you have got to work on a new set of skills. So in my case, I started, quarantine grooves on Instagram every day during the first confinement, first global confinement. Every day without a fail. And sometimes I would do it twice a day, 3 times a day. Crazy. Then I did that for 50 episodes. So that's 50 days. And at the 50th day, I said, okay, after long conversations with my brother Keisha, he was like, yo, move to YouTube, man. Because obviously Instagram was doubling down on, DJs playing the music and lives getting cut because, copyright infringement, etc., etc., etc. And so I migrated to YouTube. And I've been doing everything on YouTube and I've been seeing the growth. Now it's progressive. It takes time. It's something that requires for you to be patient. It's something that requires for you to understand that, nothing happens overnight. And so if you're in the game of the long term, like I am, you will understand that every pieces that you're moving are to get to the actual end goal, which is the prosperity of your business, the longevity of your business, and also the stability of your livelihood, right? But imminently in the present time, there are ways to make buck. There are ways to maintain a healthy mind. You got to find that out for you. I cannot give you the solution because I'm not in your position and I'm not in your situation. I'm not you. But all I know is that I worked on this TV show, because that's literally a TV show. It's small production, but really it is. Every Mondays I'm taking time to first of all connect with my musical family, but also the new viewers, people who are just following this page just for the Monday quality talks, right? And and sometimes they'll check out Quarantine Grooves on Fridays, etc., etc. So it's like building new audiences, being steady with the work that you're doing, understanding the necessity of developing a set of habits that forces you to stay on top of your game all the time. And I know it's not easy. Believe me, come on. I have moments where I just don't feel like it. But in these moments, take a couple of hours, go for a walk, do what you need to do, watch a movie. For example, this weekend I went spent the weekend at my mother's and her partner's place, and it was amazing. I took Saturday. I worked a little bit through the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, but I worked, I think, a total of 2 hours in 2 days, and it was amazing. I spent the rest of the time, just having good food, good wine, conversations with them, and talking about life. And then, my mother's sitting next to me in the sofa, and she was watching a movie. I was watching my documentaries or my movies, whatever. And we would talk while we were watching. Like these are things that allows me to disconnect and allows me to recharge. Some of you don't have necessarily that chance. Some of you may not necessarily have that kind of rapport relationship with your loved one, or some of you might be completely isolated. So how do you deal with that complete isolation? When you're just with you yourself, or with you and your partner, and things are tense, etc., etc. Look, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not anything like that. But I just know that there's one thing that is very important, is communication. And it takes also for somebody to understand that you have to step out of the ego. Ego has no place in love. Ego shouldn't even have a word, especially in these kind of environments, because at the end of the day, we're all on the same level, I would like to say, even though mentally some of us are more probably stronger, this and that and the other. But at the end of the day, even the toughest have their moment where they break down. That's how it is. It's just our capacity to resist the pressure, to resist the tensions that differs from one person to another. But yet again, you have it in you. And if you try to step out of how you feel about yourself and how you feel about what you're going through, how you feel about your circumstances, and look more at the potential at hand, what can you do with what you have? You cannot necessarily go out, cool, we got it. How can I survive? Well, think, me, what I do, besides the shows, Monday Quality Talks or Quarantine Grooves on Fridays, I have my productions. I'm running the labels, I'm doing business related, work in terms of, okay, putting together a set of ideas and projects that I want to see coming to life. Do I have the resources financially necessarily for them? I might not, but okay, I have the idea and I have the whole know-how to make this come to life. Do I know the people that can help facilitate that? Okay, because this is the thing that you have to understand. And you need to keep that in mind. Don't you find it funny and actually rather interesting that it is in times of crisis that some people make the most money? Don't you find it interesting that in times of absolute despair, people get richer? And it's not because, necessarily they come from like big money or anything like that. You have to be smart. You have to be hella smart. I'll give you another example of what I'm doing. I'm investing, for example, and it's not like I have millions or thousands. I started by investing tens of euros on crypto money, for example, XRP, when it was still very low. And guess what? At a certain point, like I think after investing something like 200 euros worth of 200 euros, yeah, on XRP, for example, and some other cryptos and stuff, I made, when it was at its highest, as 0.90, no, 0.56, I think, 0.57, can't remember, a couple of months ago. Man, I made up to 500 something euros. I'm not saying that's the only way, but that's one of the ways. You gotta, this is the thing. Everybody thinks that they need tens of thousands of euros or dollars to do business. You don't. All you need is to be steady and is to be committed and to go at it one step at a time. Christelle. Exactement, se réinventer en ces temps, c'est un peu un combat contre soi, passer au-delà de ses propres blocages. Exactly. I appreciate what you just said, and it's very true, Christelle. Christelle is saying that, to reinvent yourself during these times is very much like a fight against yourself, to go beyond, your own, limitations. And that's indeed very true. Very, very true, because you are your own enemy. You're your worst enemy, if anything, and also your best of friend. So you have got to understand and identify what it is that you are trying to be, who it is that you're trying to be. Your worst enemy or your best friend? Your best ally or not? Figure it out for yourself and stop making excuses for things that are not happening in your life the way you see them or want them to see unfolding, or wanting them to unfold in your life the way you project them initially. Because this is the thing, we all have, again, in us the capacity to build or destroy. And that for me is utterly important, because if I understand that I can build or destroy, shit, I want to build, man. You know, I'm not here to destroy nothing, you know. And how do you build well? You build well by, you know, having a understanding that you need to build a relationship with yourself. And it's hard when you're on your own. It's super hard. You know, because there's nothing worse than seeing yourself in the mirror. There's no noise around. It's just you and you yourself and yourself. Understand? But you have to build that relation. This is the time. It's the relationship. It's that moment where you have to take your courage and build a relationship with your multiple selves. Your capacity to be so creative in the worst of times. So coming back to what I was telling you about, you know, some of the resources that I've put in place in order for me to, you know, explore new ideas and new ways of doing business. Because believe me, before COVID, the hell I was thinking about investing in the marketplace, you know, bitcoins or whatever, crypto monies. You know, like my mind was not even there because I was already making the money from the gigs, and I was like, and I was good. I thought I was, until, you know, you realize you're like, damn, this gig-based economy is bullshit. Because the moment clubs get closed and you can't travel, you are pretty much, you know, screwed. So you want to avoid that. Welcome, Emmanuel. Thank you very much for joining us. And therefore, you know, this is the thing. You got to learn that you're more than what you make yourself to be. You really are. I am more than what I made myself to be. And thankfully, I have been aware of that for some time, but it got even realer when we came face to face with this whole global pandemic, for me and for all of you, all of us. So once again, this pandemic set the clock back to zero for everyone. Of course, some people had money. Some people were already good financially, so they didn't suffer the way you suffered. Probably not. You don't even know. Like, that's the thing. Don't be, and this is the problem. It's like, you can't assume that because people have toys around them, that their life is great. Because it's not. Because it's not about toys. It's that rapport you have. It's that rapport you have with others, but with yourself as well. And I believe we don't need a COVID to know that, and a global pandemic to know that, right? But it gets emphasized indeed in these times. And so, for example, this weekend, because, you know, I always come up with a topic for the show. Well, you don't know, I'm telling you now, but I usually come with a topic for the show either on a Saturday or Sunday. I know what I'm going to be talking about, because I take the whole time to just study what's going on in the world, what's happening, what I feel like I want to talk about, etc., etc. And usually by Sunday, I have the visuals and design ready to promote on Monday. And for today's show, I just couldn't decide what I wanted to talk about, because there were so many things that I felt compelled to speak on, or share my ideas on, and I felt like resilience during these times is really what was needed, really, because, for example, here in Portugal, we're about to enter a new confinement, global, countrywide confinement, where only those who need to really go out for certain things or groceries or whatever will be allowed to be out and about. Well, not even out, but out purchasing what they need and getting back home. Like, this is how it's gonna get. It's gonna be like, you know, last year in the very beginning. And I get it, you know, I get it. You have to obey what's being decided, because at some point you're like, okay, well, you know, until everybody's vaccinated. And I know what a lot of people have to say. I mean, you know, in my own family, we're having debates about it, and I'm like, guys, you know, me personally, I'm not for the vaccine. I mean, it's not even that I'm not for the vaccine. I'm not a fan of medicine in general, but at this point, us musicians, us DJs, us artists, us those of us who rely on social interactions, social gathering to make a living, we need a vaccine. There's no other ways until they find maybe some other ways, some pills, whatever. And everybody have their own, you know, approach to it. Some people want to go all green about it. They think, and I believe that indeed you can cure this disease in so many ways because it doesn't have the same impact from one person to another. I mean, look, I'm hearing about young people of 30 years old being hospitalized right now and under ventilators. They had no issue problem. Yeah, they had no health issues. Sorry, and being ventilated. Like, come on, bro. Because they caught COVID. I caught COVID, but I have lung issues. I mean, I have fragile lungs, and nothing happened to my lungs. Like, you see, so more than ever, you can't allow something that's external to you, which you don't have control upon, to control how you're going to feel about yourself, or how you're going to feel about your life, and how you're going to feel about, your future. Because this is just a phase, it is just a phase. It is lasting a little longer, sorry, than we project or wished for, but that's what it is. We're dealing with a freaking virus that, no matter its origin, if it was created in laboratories, whatever the case was, the origin of this thing, we're dealing with it right now. So if they already had the vaccine before it came out and they waited for all these people to die, well, what can we do? Do we have control upon it? We don't, right? You want to fight against it all day, every day, and not want to do the test and not want to have the vaccines and want to live your life like it used to be? Well, it's not possible anymore. Because there's too much at stake, too many lives lost, and you got to figure out for yourself what works. And if that doesn't work, then okay, you should have the right to, decide what you want to decide. But again, once again, we are looking at things from a lot of the time from a selfish perspective. And I might contradict myself, you might think, by saying that, well, you wanting everyone to take the vaccine so that you guys can go back to work is very selfish. No, if we're looking at it from the perspective of bringing back some sort of health stability worldwide, according to most scientists, even though there's no exact science, but it might make more sense for everybody to take this vaccine, because that's it. We can't wear masks forever, and on top of that, we got to get back to work, all of us. And if we don't, well, there's going to be, certainly, a certain form of immunization that's gonna, come to life at some point, but at what cost? So again, that's each and everyone's perspective. Me personally, again, I'm simplifying my thought process. I'm looking at the facts, or the facts that are available. I don't try to look, into too many obscure alternative sources of information, even though I do look and verify a lot of things and research a lot. I understand that at a certain point, that's one of the causes behind a lot of the depression, a lot of the distress. We are in a world where, because we don't really have wars, because we don't really have, much going on besides a global pandemic that's messing everybody's life up, and everybody's trying to blame something for the cause of whatever is going on in their lives, and I get it. But at a certain point, one has to be very reasonable and understand that, you can't continue living your life blaming others. You can't. Whether it be the government, at a certain point, and again, I'm not referring to the vaccine here. I'm just talking in general about the issues that I've seen, where people have too much time on their hands. They have too much time to get lost in depression. They have too much time to get lost in, trying to find the boogeyman everywhere and fight for things and against things that it's like, dude, really? I mean, again, I'm not dismissing any of the real things that happen in the world, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't raise our voices or concerns. That's not what I'm saying. I have plenty of concerns as well, but I just think that don't fall victim of choices that are induced in you through the idea of rebellion, just to rebel yourself. You have to understand what are you rebelling yourself against, and this applies not only for this vaccine, but for your life in general, and for just everything. For example, working out. I don't like to work out from home. Really? But can you go to the gym? No. Okay. But I'm gonna stay home and get fat. Okay, it's your choice, or not, because you can still be eating what you want to eat, but work out or do something, be active. No, I prefer to do Netflix and chills or whatever, stuff myself with ice cream and eat my life away. That's a rebellion against something that is presented to you that is a solution, but you're not taking advantage or the opportunity to actually explore it, because you know what? You tried it didn't work. And this is the thing. Resilience and being resilient is about understanding the necessity to build this ability to strengthen your mental capacity, and arm your mental capacities with all the tools that it requires. Not lying to yourself, trying your very best to be as committed to the goals you've set for yourself, even though there's going to be setbacks. There's going to be a whole lot of setbacks, but it's just what life is. It's just that everything is just amplified through this whole pandemic. Everything is amplified. So I just want to say that, at least for me, that's what I've been doing. Whenever there was time, and believe me, there was more times than you may think. Those who know me may have seen some of my posts, may have seen stuff that I've said when I was going through some really, really, really rough times. But I've always had, beyond some of the friends that I have, people that I can speak to, but I've always had I've understood that I needed to work on building these abilities, these mental abilities, these skills that will help me cope with critical situations that I'm facing. And this is really important to mention, because without building a set of things, putting things in place to maintain yourself in a state of positivity, you will go mad, literally, and you start doing and saying hella stupid shit. We've seen it, we've witnessed it. People losing literally their brain and thinking they're completely okay, but it's like, yo, what the hell happened? A literal 360 move, when it's like that person was this way one time and switched to this other way the next day. So it's like, look, be mindful of yourselves. Let's be mindful of ourselves. Let's really be, about, first of all, doing what feels right for us, and whatever that means for you, find out. Reinventing yourself, as Crystal was just sharing here, is one of the hardest thing to do, because it really is a fight with yourself, but it is necessary. Now, not all of us will be able to achieve that, because not all of us have that capacity or that willpower, but I believe that we have it. It's just that a lot prefer to hit the easy route all the time, and that is really where it's very sad, in my opinion. But I understand that not everybody is made equal when it comes to these things, and some people just want to be carried. They don't want to stand on their 2 feet, even though they might be hurting and do the work that is required in order to, step that river, across that river and get to the other side, and yeah, still work your way, but be in a better place than where you're standing right now. And so, welcome, Papake. Yes, indeed, evolution sometimes is the revolution. Very true, very true. And again, as far as I'm concerned, I want to go beyond my preconceived ideas, and I'm gonna look at facts, and I'm gonna look at and I've been doing that, but even more so because I realize that because so many people have so much time in their hands, they're using that time to serve the wrong. I wouldn't say the wrong, but they're serving something that's just not helping humanity. I mean, some of it is because I'm all about keeping people woke and bringing as many alternative informations and alternative sources of knowledge that can allow each and every one of us to develop a critical mind and a sharpness of sight. But the problematic is that too many people think they know a lot about things that they don't know nothing on, and want to talk on things they don't know nothing about. And that really is a problem. Everybody want to be coming to you and telling you how you need to operate your business, or how you need to, well, you don't well, thank you, but would you take the time to listen to what I'm saying in the first place and not just try to catch things from what I'm giving you and try to, just respond? You would understand that everything that you're telling me has already been done. And because it's already been done but not working, or not working the way you've presented it to me, I'm telling you I've tried another route and it seems to be working this time. You understand? Flexibility of the mind. At a certain point, people are so informed, they are completely disinformed. And that's the thing. There's too much information. There's too much everything. I can ask you right now if you remember what you saw in your feed 5 minutes ago on Instagram. I'm pretty certain that you won't. You won't. You won't remember what you saw in your feed 5 minutes ago. Impossible. And if you do, then you have an amazing memory. Or maybe it was something that stuck in your brain. And yes, eventually that. But, because, what we're looking in our feeds is, a glory to self, a glory to emptiness. People showing themselves in situations and positions and environments where everything seems to be amazing. It literally is Alice in Wonderland. We're literally in that whole phase, man. I mean, as I'm talking, that's really what came to mind. But it really feels like that. It's like as much as things are very real and things are very fucked up, we've sort of like built a set of things that to recreational, ways to keep our minds busy so that we don't have to deal with what's going on outside. And I understand. I guess I might be exaggerating, but it seems to be of a bit of the implementation of a post-traumatic thing where it's like, you know what, you build around you and you build in your mind something that is a contingency of things that allow you to stay sane, but in the meantime it's all a mirage, it's all illusion, because you are not working on the essential problem here, which is dealing with the actual situation at hand. Okay, I think a lot of people are actually lost and let down by the individualism of society. Exactly, Kiki. That's exactly what it is. And we spoke about it various times, and I was just addressing that before you jumped in. And it really is the problem. As a community, as people, we are letting each other down. There's no real questions. There's no real interactions. There's no real desire to know how the other is doing. When you ask somebody, hey, how you doing? I'm all right. I'm okay. Look, if you tell me you're okay more than 5 times, you're not okay. You're not okay. There's something off. It's okay for you to complain about it. It's okay for you to open your heart and speak on it. Because you know what? Keeping it inside is not going to help you. It's not. You need to be able to have a friend. You need to be able to have somebody that you can entrust with the information you give them so that you can speak without being judged. But you can also speak to people that can help you elevate, that can help you get to a point where, wow, you're looking at your situation from a completely different perspective and find solutions, right? Exactly, Kay. Most people pretend that they're fine. Most people pretend that everything is cool. That's what I'm saying. This is Alice in Wonderland syndrome. You know, everything is amazing. Oh, look at me. Here I am there. Here I am here. Here I am in this. Bro, wake the fuck up, man. Wake the F up. Come back to reality. Because you see, you're not dealing with the reality at hand. And I know it's fucked up and I know it's painful. I know it's not easy. But it's very much like using, you know, all sorts of recreational, you know, drugs or whatever, or alcohol to make everything feel cool and more relaxed. And you know, yet it's not working. You're not feeling better, but you're disconnected from that thing. So as long as you're disconnected, it's okay. But yet you're still feeling like shit. How's that making sense? For me, it doesn't. And I understand that for some, it does, and it works very well for them, and they don't need to deal with reality, but they don't understand that. And don't get me wrong, I used to be like that. I never did drugs or anything like that, but I used to dive into distractions, all sorts of distractions, like, you know, what could it be? Yeah, because I'm still from that era where we didn't really have too much social media and stuff like that, and so can't remember. Yeah, that example. I mean, yeah, I wasn't necessarily like like that. I mean, to a certain extent, I think I was like, yeah, I lied to myself about a couple of things when I was much younger, a couple of years ago, but something my father said to me one time. And my mother also said something in the same line, but my father said to me one time, and it was noon. I woke up late in my apartment. So he walks in, and as he walks in, you know, I could sense my father's presence. So I wake up automatically, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm embarrassed, you know. Father would wake up super early, always, you know, on the go. And he looked at me and said, son, look, I'll tell you something. You do what you want, right? But understand that in French, the sentence is le futur appartient à ceux qui se lèvent tôt. So to those who wake up early, to those the future is indeed promised. Otherwise, you're just like anyone else, trying to get by. If you don't have a sharp and thorough way of doing things, you won't achieve much. You can, but it's going to be hard. My mother said to me something. She said, you know, a successful man or a successful woman is a person that every morning makes their bed. And she smiled. Just looked at her. I said, yeah, but that doesn't make you successful. You're just making your bed, so what? He said, well, think about it. Man, I was like, this is not really making much sense to me. Damn, okay. Shit. You know, it's like, okay. So if I structure my day, the start of my day with making my bed, then it means that I'm structuring things. So from making my bed every morning, this is the thing. It became an habit. It became such a thing where even to this day, I am not feeling comfortable if my bed is not done. I don't like it. It has to be done properly. Like if, you know, I have guests. No, no, no. It has to be done clean, properly done. Cool. Thanks to my mother. Thanks to my father. You know, had I not been told these things, and had I not had the senses in me to wake up, even though I didn't quite like the and it was actually something subtle, but it kind of hurt my ego, because I was like, you know, what the hell do you know? I'm working so late, I work so hard. And my father said to me, said, look, it doesn't matter how late and how hard you work, you still got to wake up the next day and do the same thing again. Actually do the same thing and work harder. So working hard is never going to stop, but it's not an excuse for you to you know, just mess around. Distant Shadow 4, well said. Yes, it's jacked sometimes. Like, some people are not themselves when bad things happen in the world or in their own life. If you lose a family member, wife, husband, you might change. Absolutely. Absolutely. But this is the thing. Some people change to either, and I don't think there's any right or wrong, but some people decide to become extremely superficial about everything. They want to go, everything has to be super light. Anything that's too deep, you lose them, you know. Same thing with interactions between a woman and a man and a woman, right? Or whatever your gender, your sexual preferences are, you know. The interaction with another human being, and especially if they're going in the perspective of becoming intimate, some way, shape, or form. Especially nowadays, dating during these times, or, you know, sexting, or you know, situations online and stuff like that. Definitely the norm at this point. You will clearly see the moment you start trying to go too deep with somebody in the conversation, that you will lose them, because they just want to get the instant gratification of having a response from you that corresponds to the type of sequences they put in place for you to, you know, show them some skin, etc., etc., which actually nowadays you don't really need much to do, because I mean, usually you'll get to see skin even without asking from somebody's page, you know, whether it be a guy or girl, whatever it is. Like, you'll see skin. You don't really even need them to ask you, because people post these things anyway willingly, you know, and it's cool and it's nice. I mean, whatever, it's all right, you know. I'm not a Puritanist or anything like that, because I enjoy seeing it. It's nice, but at a certain point, it's just too much, you know. And at a certain point, all these traumas and all these pains and all these things have made a lot more weaker people, in my opinion, because we are trying to find means. And by weak, again, I'm not trying to say that people are weak because they're trying to have things that entertain them and get them out of their troubles and their pain. There's nothing wrong with that. But if that's everything that you do, that's everything your life is about, just trying to get away from anything that can remind you of your problem, or anything that can remind you of the situation you have to deal with, then you're not honoring your true self and your true purpose. And believe me, my personal experience is that if you face the situation head on, you will be rewarded beyond measures. Because the courage it takes to face a situation that is not easy, to face a situation that requires of you to really see deep down in yourself, and to come out of that alive, because you will. It's not going to kill you. It's going to kill the old you to build the new you, because there's no birth that comes without pain. It's painful to be birthed into the new version of yourself. Is super painful. Okay, saying, I wonder how people would have survived this pandemic morally without the distraction of social media and infinite content. Christelle's also saying the game of the network, of the social networks, the fear of feeling weak, and the lack of confidence in the other. Right on, man. But that's the thing. So in a way, social networks, in my opinion, they're great because it's entertainment, you know, and that's what it is for me. It's just entertainment. I don't take it as anything valuable for my life. I don't compare, the life of XYZ to mine or vice versa, because it's just entertaining. It's just informing me on what's the status of your life is right now, or what's the status of what you want to show me is. And some of us are capable of seeing beyond the actual picture, and that goes, and now I'm tapping into some more spiritual and deep stuff, but you can see through the eyes of somebody, the way they look, the way that you see the body language, you see, even if they do their selfies, if they do their IG stories, you can see smiles are not the biggest. Well, they are deceivers, but eyes don't lie. You can see someone's pain in their eyes, even if they smile, right? And there's just so many ways to decrypt, body language and stuff like that. But anyway, that's a conversation for another MQT that I'll be gladly diving into. But I really think that facing the problems, understanding that if we want to be prosperous, more creative, in much more abundance, we need to be able to face the very things that bring about the fear, bring about the discomfort, bring about the sense of loneliness, etc., etc. I cannot even begin to tell you how many times I felt lonely in my life, even more so during COVID, during last year. How many times I felt abandoned in ways, even though I had people around me, but there was, sometimes the way you feel is the way you feel, right? And only you can solve that problem. And until I opened my eyes and I said, no, first of all, I'm not alone. Secondly, I'm enough, I'm enough. I may be alone, but I'm not alone. I'm busy, I'm active, I'm keeping myself, I'm keeping myself busy, man. And yes, I'm lucky to do what I love, and I'm lucky to be involved in a business that, passionates me, I'm passionate about, and so on and so forth. And this is the thing. For many of you who used to do jobs you hated, and who are now without a job, or who are now trying to find the next you, this is the time to really open up about what it is that you really want. But before you know what you want, you need to face what you don't want. You need to face the things that you've been, putting away, because the noise around was helping you, whenever you wanted to do something that would allow you to escape from your reality or from your own whatever, you could grab your car, take the metro, whatever, and go see some friends. Whatever the case may be, you were able to do it. Now you can't, or it's not as easy. So yeah, it's that time, man. Time to dive in yourself, time to really look inside you and understand that, beyond all the traumatic experiences, all the people that you have lost, that we have lost, that are going through rough times, and beyond the difficult moments that you're going through in your life, and believe me, you're not alone. We all have our sets of difficulties, me included, all of us. Don't think that you're alone. And it's okay to be vulnerable. It doesn't make you less of who you are. And if people think that it makes you less of who you are, they're dumb fucks. Because you are in no way supposed to act as who you're not. But that's for you to find out. at your own time and whenever you're ready. At least as far as I'm concerned, I made peace with a lot of things, and I have no problem, being open about who I am and who I'm not, even more so. That doesn't mean that I have to expose everything. That doesn't mean that I have to tell everything. I may tell a lot of things with a big delay, because at that specific moment in my life, nobody needs to maybe know this or that. But all I can tell you is that I've made it a rule to face head on whatever it is that I'm going through, accept it, accept the fact that in some cases I could not do much about it, and in the cases I could do much about it, I could not do much about the situation itself, but I could do much about how I would take the situation. Stop being a victim of your environment. And I know it's easier said than done. Believe me, I know. But that's why I say, understand that resilience in these times of pandemic is utterly important. And before I leave and start this conversation today, I want you to understand that knowledge is unlimited. You are an unlimited being capable of doing more than you can ever imagine or be told. Your limitations are those you create, and those that people create about you and for you. Don't be a victim of that. Resilience is the capacity to recover from difficulties, tragedies. It's a psychological ability to mentally or emotionally cope with a crisis, according to the internet. It's a mental process and habits developed by one to protect themselves from potential negativity, sources of stress, etc., etc. We are not all built the same way, and we are not going to be dealing with a given situation the same way. But I can tell you for a fact, if you really want, you are boundless. And as Brother K just said in the comments in the chat, you just have to unlock your potential. Look into things. There are plenty of information out there on the internet, on YouTube, a lot of information on how you can unlock your potential. In my humble little way, I'm sharing with you how I'm doing it, and I'm going about it, slowly. So I advise you to go back to all these MQTs that I did, 11 so far. Today's the 11th, in order for you to grasp, the magnitude of the information shared so far. And let's stay resilient during these pandemic times, family. We need it. We need resilience. We need courage. We need, we need unity more than ever. Because without the things, man, it's not gonna be easy. It is not gonna be easy. And let me play one more tune before we go. And actually, now let me just play this from our actual play itself. That's right. And as I wish you all a very fantastic rest of your day, afternoon, night, I want to remind you that you can actually go and stream the music, because after all, we also Talking about that, go on your favorite streaming platforms and get yourself some good dose of Boddhi Satva, Keisha, and many, many more amazing artists, because it is important to remind you that we need those streams. We need you guys to share, reshare, and spread the word about, what we do, which is music for the soul, music for your personal elevation, and our own. And make sure you subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. And share. There's not much we can ask for beyond that. And of course, get yourself some merch. Go to boddhi-satva.com and get yourself some merch indeed. It's going to be much appreciated. Playing right now, Boddhi Satva and Aya Zungu, Thinking About You. The African Roots Chupacabra instrumental mix. Man, those guys are very talented. Once again, thank you, family. Yours truly, Boddhi Satva, signing out. Very true, actually. Very true. Let me show some love to Papa K. Don't forget that Wednesday there's Club Shada on Keisha's YouTube channel. Please go and subscribe to my good brother Keisha's channel if you haven't done that yet. A man that is sharing without any limitation so much knowledge and love. So go check him out, yeah. It's worth your time. And yes, of course, Friday Quarantine Grooves 93. It's about to be madness. Thank you for tuning in today once again, family. My pleasure to have you on board of this MQT Flight 11. Yo, y'all be good, yo. And see you Friday for Quarantine Grooves and Wednesday for Club Shada. For those of you who haven't done that yet, please repeat, go subscribe. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel just yet, what are you waiting for? Thank you very much, family. Y'all be blessed. Stay safe. And yeah, stay resilient. It's very important. Peace.